2026. The legal notices required by statute have been satisfied, and the statement as certifying same will be executed. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Goldberg.
Here.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Benoit.
Here.
Mr. Kramer.
Here.
Mr. Woodford.
Here.
And for our professionals, we have our board engineering consultant, Joe Voigt.
Here.
We have our board attorney, Rich Oler.
I'm here.
Okay. The board, we talked among ourselves, and we're going to do the second application first. Sorry to have you all set up here. We're going to do the second application first. Well, actually, you got a resolution. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the resolution. First resolution is BA-26-25, 26 Minden Road. Mr. Oler. Yes,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a memorializing resolution with respect to the application filed by Howard Messer, who applied for permission to modify an existing non-conforming dwelling by constructing an addition requiring variance relief for front yard setback in 2 locations, as well as an expansion of a non-conforming structure. For the reasons set forth in detail in the resolution, that application was conditionally approved with our standard conditions.
Okay, board members, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, second resolution is for BA-27-25, 9 Westminster Place.
Thank you again. A memorializing resolution with respect to the application filed by Glenn David, who applied for permission to modify an existing non-conforming dwelling by constructing an addition requiring variance relief for side yard setback, combined side yard setback, front yard setback, and an expansion of a non-conforming structure. And for the reasons set forth in the resolution, that application was conditionally approved with our standard conditions, as well as a condition indicating that the applicant shall obtain either a variance approval or waiver of the application from the town of Morristown. That's the lot that straddles both towns.
Right. Okay, board members, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the public hearings. We've had 2 tonight. We're actually talking with among the board members. We're going to do the first one, the second one, BA-28-25 first, because it's a very straightforward application as far as we can tell. So that would be BA-28-25 Todd McNamee for block 106, lot 13, 46 Burnham Road.
Sorry, sir, you're going to have to vacate the table.
Good evening, Mr. McNamee. How are you? Good. Why don't you get him sworn in?
Is anyone else testifying? Just you? Just you? Okay. Would you stand and raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, thank you. And just for the record, your name?
My name is Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McNamee, tell us what you propose to do and why we should grant you a variance.
We have an existing sunroom on the back of the house. And we're looking just to go above it and go back.
All right, and you're bumping it out a couple of feet to the rear?
Yeah, so we can't even 2 feet.
Okay. Can you describe why you need variance?
One of my kids is moving back home. Oh, I need it there because we don't need the side on the right side.
Okay, and is that going to change at all with this addition?
No.
Okay, so as it exists now, how far is it from the property line, the house?
The house, I think, is between 5 and 6 feet.
All right, and it's not going to change, is that correct?
No, it's not going to change. We're going to stay within the envelope.
And you can't put any, basically any addition on the back of the house without asking for a variance?
Yeah, because we don't meet the side setback.
All right, and this is a 50-foot wide lot, correct?
Yes.
Anything else you want to tell us?
Not unless you have any questions.
So I just want to point a couple things out. So the variance relief is for the side yard because you're going up on the second floor on the right side, right? Where that's, on the survey, it says 5.8 feet. So,
Correct, yes.
right, we're going over the top of there, but towards the back,
Towards the back.
right?
I'm not, so we're just in close. Yeah, so to the right side.
Okay. So the plan that we have in the front says 5 feet 9.6 inches, where the survey says 5.8. Any idea why that's different? I'm looking at the first page.
I'm sorry. could you repeat that?
Yep. So if you look at the front of the house where it borders up on Burnham Road, right? That front right corner, see where it says 5 feet 9.6? Okay. And then if you look at the survey, in that same spot, it says 5.8. Any idea why there's a difference?
I would guess maybe the lot's
think
not
it's-
square.
Rich,
Yeah,
Rich, I believe it's the architectural measurement of 5 feet 9 inches, which would be
5.8 in surveys?
five. Yes.
Okay,
So 5.75, right,
Okay.
would be the
okay,
engineering on the percentage of right
okay,
the decimal,
right,
and then so the 9 inches and change.
It's actually exact. I just did the math.
Yeah.
okay. So
I
then.
think it's that, and then it's slightly askew from the property line. It's
Right,
not
so the
perpendicular.
back point is 6 feet, 2.4,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Alright.
So one other thing then too is, and Joe, maybe you can do this with me, but in the back of the property, left corner for the garage,
Correct.
scaling off of the survey, looks like it's 2 feet there because we have a combined side yard variance too, okay? So that's kind of looks like should be 2 feet there. And then if we take that 5.8 or whichever one I'm going to use, that 5.9, right? I'm going to add the 2 feet to get to that combined side yard, okay?
For the accessory structure. Separate
No,
from the
no,
dwelling,
no.
or-
There's an existing combined side yard, which we're not worsening, the same like we're not worsening the side yard itself, other than going up on it, but it creates a combined side yard at the second story, right? So it's that left side and the 5.8 on the right side. And I'm just going to use 2 on the left side. Because it's not dimensioned, it just scales out to about 2 feet.
Let me ask you just a question to clarify the interpretation. Is the combined side yard on the principal dwelling or the principal dwelling and the accessory garage?
Both.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're taking one side on the dwelling and the other, or really both sides
On the garage.
Both sides on the garage are the combined
Yeah, because we have a
deviation.
1.8 on the other
Right.
side, right, on the garage?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think the garage is 1.8 and
And 2?
roughly, maybe a little bit larger. 3,
Okay.
about double that on the opposite
We'll
side.
go 3?
So
Okay.
that's the combined side yard existing condition. If it's lawfully existing, it's not exacerbated, but on the other structure, it is.
Right.
Right.
So 4.8 for that, side yard's 5.8, not worsened, 6.2 on the architect's plan where we're doing the addition, right?
Correct,
Right.
And impervious coverage, right?
as well
Is
as.
there impervious on this too? Yeah.
Right, so the impervious is not exacerbated. The proposed addition cantilevers over the existing stairs and brick pavers.
Yeah, I know, but we don't know how we got
We
there in the
don't know
first
how we
place.
got to that number in the beginning, so I think we honor that variance now. in
Yeah, I would
consideration.
capture it now so
Yes.
that there is a variance in place for it,
Correct.
right? Okay. Okay, so those are the 3. Okay,
So we're doing a variance for impervious coverage also,
yeah.
just to clear it all up?
Yes,
All right.
right, and there's no water issues on your property now, is that right? Okay.
All right, board members, any questions of the applicant? Seeing none, hearing none. Any member of the public with questions of the applicant? Seeing none, hearing none, close the public portion. Any member of the public wish to be heard on this application? Seeing none, hearing none, close the public portion. Board members, any comments on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's pretty straightforward, and I think it's an improvement to the home, improvement to the neighborhood. Pre-existing non-conforming, it's not making it any worse, so I'd be in favor of this.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I totally agree with Mr. Benoit, and I'll second his motion.
you were making a motion
I'll
there?
make a motion.
Okay, you're seconding the motion?
I helped him along.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Goldberg,
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Benoit,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer, Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. So we'll
So I'll
be,
have a resolution at the next meeting for you,
so much
okay?
for all your time.
Sure thing, good luck.
all right, next application is BA-25-25, Knollwood Holding LLC for 40 Knollwood Drive. And I have to recuse myself.
I have to recuse myself as well.
All right, so for the record, that's Mr. Woodford and Mr. Trachtenberg. 1, 2,
You have 6.
5.
You got 6, you got.
Okay. Okay.
Should Mr. Evangel come up?
Come in from the bullpen.
Oh, he got his,
Signature.
found it.
Next application we'll hear tonight is BA 2525, Block 2906, Lot 1140 Knollwood Drive. It's in the RA 15 zone. Mr. Eller, would you like to pick up from where we last left off? Yep.
Mine disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's Knollwood Holding LLC. All right, can we have appearances, please?
First of all, appearing on behalf of the Knollwood Holding.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to, again, spell your name for me.
Last name KRISHTEL.
And,
Yes, Jeffrey Gogan, architect, GEOFFREY, GOGAN, 35 Pine Street, Morristown.
okay, I'm going to swear you both in again, so if you would both please stand and raise your right hands. You solemnly swear that the testimony you will give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Gogan, are you also a professional planner?
Yes.
All right, and we qualified you as both a professional planner and an architect at the first hearing, is that right?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Right, and your licenses are still current?
Yes,
Nothing changed since the last hearing?
nothing changed.
Thank you. Okay,
I'm
so
trying to
who's
share
going
my
to tell us,
screen.
I know you submitted a revised plan with some changes.
Yes, I'm just trying to get my screen to share correctly here. Bear with me. This is it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so at the, I'm going to see if I can zoom in. I had a little trouble zooming just before, hopefully. At the first hearing, we had quite a few questions about the proposed height variance that we had originally included on the application. And so we decided to eliminate the need for that variance. And we've lowered the building by taking building height out of the first floor and the second floor, as well as lowering the roof pitch. So we are now proposing to remain compliant with the 35-foot allowed height, measuring from the average grade that was confirmed by the Morris Township Engineering to the ridge of the roof. So we've now recalculated it to 34.8 feet. And I'm going to show you the elevations with the, I have both sheets, the ones from the first set and the others that which I can show, so it's easier to show the difference, what the changes were. The other thing that came up last time was Joseph noticed that the area on the survey was incorrect. And this is the original survey, showed 31,000 square feet, and we found out that the surveyor did make a mistake and picked 2 lots instead of just our lot. So he resubmitted the survey to us with the corrected area, 15,791.7. And the zoning chart was updated to reflect that accurate lot area. And unfortunately, it didn't cause any new variances to be created. So we're still compliant with the building and improved lot coverage. So basically, any reference to the original sought after building height of 38.4 has been crossed off and eliminated from the application. And the only thing that we're here for tonight is the 2 side yard applications. We have the left side yard, as you recall, due to a bump out. I'm going to scroll back over there. We have a proposed bump out in the front, which is respecting the front yard setback. But because the site is somewhat trapezoidal on a curved street where the lines get closer and closer as they get closer to the street, the side lot lines, our proposed corner is 0.5 feet closer to the side yard than the existing corner of the garage, which is 29.7. And the reason we want that bump out is because of the more recent changes to trash storage and recycling bins, and needing to have more organized ways and to protect them from animals. So we wanted to have a little area where we could have a pedestrian door and be able to go in and out and take the bins in and out easily. from, 2 times a week or whatever's needed. But there haven't been any more changes to the site plan, just that the calculations were updated. But the back section is still the same. All the other setbacks and everything, we haven't changed any of that. So this is the, what you're seeing now is the updated cover sheet, which has we also added a chart.
Are you able to zoom in on that chart?
I'll zoom in on this, yes. We added a chart because there were some questions about the building area. So I added the areas of each portion, and then I think the questions that were being asked were relative to the way a realtor would which is really the warm floor area that you would use when you're listing a house, for example, because they were comparing to other houses in the neighborhood. So in other words, you wouldn't include the unfinished or the semi-finished garage, and you might or you might not include the basement. So I included those numbers here. I might, if you want me to go through them now, I can. But I also showed a chart showing the existing and proposed bedroom and bathroom count. So basically, it's a 4-bedroom house now. It's going to continue to be a 4-bedroom house. We're basically converting 1 bedroom into a big walk-in closet and foyer area for a master suite over the garage. And there are basically we're proposing 2 half bathrooms on the first floor. One is in a mudroom area, one is in a more formal entertaining area. And we have on the second floor, I'm sorry, let me just see. First floor, we've got the 2 half baths, and then we've got the second floor, we have 1 hall bath and 3 en-suite baths. Now, the bedrooms that have direct access to their own bathroom or sharing a bathroom with the hallway. So, and the idea is that a lot of people like to have that feature, for their adult children who visit, or maybe they have kids and they don't want to always have to go out into the hallway to share a bathroom. But, I think after or during the meeting, there was some implication that maybe there was a plan to rent bedrooms to yeshiva students, and that is not at all contemplated. The owner is going to be living in the house himself with his family. And so this is just a normal single-family house project, essentially. In addition to I should have mentioned this, the left and right side yards, we also needed a variance for combined side yards because of that tapered lot line situation where 50 is required. We're proposing 46.3. And then, so the one side on the right is currently 17.1. It's proposed to remain at 17.1, but we were asked to get a variance because it is going up a little bit higher than it is now.
It is a variance. Yeah.
Right. So, and then the left side yard I mentioned is now 29.7, proposed to be 29.2 feet. So I think I'll go ahead down and, that's a survey I talked about. Gotta see the sheet numbers here. Okay, C4. I'm going to skip over these. None of these site details changed. They're just details for the grading, the stormwater, the plantings, some of the details. So this is the first architectural plan. This is the original basement foundation plan that was filed. And there was no substantial change to this plan. Really, there was no change that I can recall at all. All I did on these was clarify the room names. So this sheet has been replaced by this sheet, where I also took off all of the architectural dimensioning and everything. I just left the room sizes and the room names so that it will be easier to discuss. But essentially, the basement has a full basement below where the sunroom is now, and it's being enlarged a little bit. But right now, that's just open space where a deck foundation exists. The sunroom was built on top of the deck. And to the left, you see the foundation, the existing garage slab is here. The proposed bump out is over here. And then the existing full basement has a finished portion in the front and an unfinished portion in the back. The mechanicals will stay where they are. And then this portion here, he hopes to be able to have like a hobby baking kitchen where he'll have slightly different feel, and he may have to leave dough overnight and things like this, and things that he would prefer not to have to do in the residential kitchen upstairs. This was the original first floor plan. Again, no substantial changes to the plan. The only thing that really did change was the stairs, because we lowered the first floor by 2 feet. It was a 10-foot ceiling. It's, I'm sorry, by 1 foot. It's now a 9-foot ceiling. So we removed the extra risers that we would have needed up to the second floor. And I did the same thing from the second floor to the attic. So, but otherwise, these plans are pretty much identical. And I'll show you that the replaced sheet, I also took off the extraneous information and just left the room names, sizes, and areas with the kitchen layout and the powder room in the front, and then there's a little one in the back for more of a mudroom area. I won't try to repeat everything, but essentially there's this hatched area is roughly a 4-foot addition to the rear, 4 to 5 feet. And this is the existing sunroom here. So the sunroom is being expanded to the rear and to the side a little bit. And I think I mentioned before, this portion is a lower patio that you can enter from the basement and then start stepping up to a middle patio and then up to the existing patio up in the back. The next sheet is the original second floor that was submitted. And again, the only change to this sheet, which I'll show you here, is I took off all the extraneous construction information. I just left the room sizes, and we did change the stairs from the first floor up as well as the second floor to the attic. And you can see hatched in here the addition to the second floor is this area over the existing garage. And it includes the area over that little bump out in the front and over the extension along the rear. And then let me just go to the next sheet is the attic. This was the original attic plan that was submitted. And then it has all the dimensions, which I probably shouldn't have had originally. And so this time I took those off and just left the area. And this also reflects a different area of habitable area, because when the roof was lowered by pitch, it came down like this. So it lowered the 7 foot, it reduced the amount of area that's 7 feet ceiling height. And that's all been updated on here. But it's essentially still a partially finished attic with the 3 dormers in the front. And now, so the biggest thing you'll notice is on the elevations. So let's see here. So the original front elevation with the proposed 38.4 foot height had transom windows on the first floor, and it had 8 foot high doors. So all these windows were taller, and all the second floor windows were taller. But now, if you look at it, those transoms have been removed, and the second floor windows are also shorter. You can't really see it too well here, but this roof pitch has been dropped down lower than it was. And this side looks pretty much as it did before, although it is lower, obviously, because the whole house came down on each floor.
So you have a 9-foot high ceiling on the first floor,
Yes,
8-foot high ceiling on the second floor,
yes.
and a maximum of 7 feet in the attic.
Yes, well,
That's the current plan, right?
you could have some higher ceiling in the attic, but the portion that we count for habitable area is 7 feet at the
Okay.
7-foot height.
Okay.
While I'm on this sheet, the original left side elevation is here. And you can see that there were taller windows. I'll show you the other one. And then we also had transoms all around the sunroom windows and doors because all of that was taller. And we have now lowered both of these floors. So I'll go back up to that one now, and you can see that all these transoms are gone on the sunroom. These windows are still here with transoms, but they're shorter windows. And all these outside doors have been lowered. So if I go down now to the next sheet of elevations, or hopefully it's right here somewhere. Let me see. Okay, that's the front. Okay, sorry, I think that was out of place. This is the original right side elevation that has the transoms in the, you can see in the sunroom. The taller windows, the taller floor-to-floor heights. And this is the revised right side elevation where you can see the transoms are gone, the windows are shorter, and the second floor, the same thing, the windows are shorter. And at the rear, you can see the original had these transoms all around the first floor. The taller ceilings here, the taller second floor windows, and the revised plan is shorter. Here, you can see it just looks shorter. You can see all the transoms are gone on the first floor. All these windows are shorter on the second floor. So basically, that is summarizing the changes that were made. And I think the only other I'll go back up to the site plan just to refresh you on the fact that we have these 2 side yard variances that we need. Okay. So basically, we have the pre-existing 17.1 to this corner. It's really not going up very much because it is going up a little bit, but not too much. So it's still good. It still looks like every other second floor in the area, pretty much. So that is staying the same. And then this corner, I'll just zoom in here again just to make it clear. Essentially, we have the bump out. Causing that half foot closer to the side yard. You know, we thought about, we actually talked to Dave Hansen about setting that corner in to respect the existing 29.7 setback, but we tried drawing and it really didn't look that great. And he agreed with it, and he had originally thought we should be able to get away with it. But so anyway, we're asking for the 29.2, and we don't feel it will really make much of an impact from the street because the adjacent house has their driveway and parking on that side. So there's still quite a bit of space, way more than normal or required as far as the distance from house to house. That is pretty much what underlies these side yard requirements. We have an extensive storm drainage system proposed here with an area drain, and all of this is going to be reviewed by the township. I think that kind of summarizes the architectural end of it. As far as the planning end, essentially, I just thought of it as pretty much under the C1, we have the hardship of the pre-existing trapezoidal shaped lot, if you will, with the tapered lot lines, which is making it more constrained. And we basically feel that it's a fairly de minimis request as far as just the half foot difference on that left side. And then the C2 proofs, which would have to do with the front elevation, basically the street frontage, the street appearance of the building. I'll just zoom all the way back down there. Let me see if I can scroll down. Whoops. Let me see, I think I just lost the, I'm gonna have to stop sharing and share again. I'm sorry. I must have just clicked something. Okay. So the front appearance, we feel is, I do have a picture somewhere in one of these exhibits, I believe. It was actually attached to the application, but basically it's very similar to the existing in the sense that the front door is still where it is. The portico is being improved with nicer columns around it. All the windows will be replaced. The brick will just be extended a little bit and painted. And then a high quality siding will be installed like hardy plank. Good quality roofing in it. So basically it's just being an upgrade of a nice looking house. I left the roof pitches of the dormers were left as they are, but I lowered the dormers, of course, to agree with the new ridge height. But I think it's, it's going to look like a nice house from the street driving up and from both sides. So I think we fulfill some of the purposes of the C2 paragraph in terms of the street frontage and overall purpose of fulfilling what a single family residential home needs these days with the trash recycling and a nicer suite and a nicer kitchen, a more open family kitchen area and so on.
Thank you. Mr. Vuch, any questions?
There's a couple references on your plan. Let's start with the elevation views that you have up. And at the
Want to go down to the other?
both the rear and the right sides, the same reference. You have a proposed ridge elevation 433.9, and then you're indicating a 434.3 permitted. That what's referenced as permitted would put you in a C1 height variance.
Can you, are you looking at, did I leave a note or something I should take? Is that what you're saying? You're seeing?
Well, I want to clarify. I want to clarify the height as proposed is a fixed 30-foot height from architectural first floor elevation to the top of the adjusted ridge. Right? Like we discussed in the last hearing, working off the architectural calculations and then looking at just the drop negative to the finished floor, from the finished floor to the average grade outside, gave us a very clear, distinct understanding of the height defined by the applicant's plans and understood by the board. So,
Yes,
Right.
you asked us to do it that way, and I actually have it. I think it should be on all, but the front elevation probably shows it clearest because this particular one doesn't show the one from the first floor to the average grade. But I think that's the best way to do it, is we showed the total from average grade to the ridge. but we also showed the distance from average grade to the first floor and then from the first floor to the ridge. So that would be easy for anyone to go out and check the dimensions.
Right, but then my concern is the use of the word permitted with this other elevation. Right, they're side by side proposed ridge at 433.9 and 434.3 permitted. I think first that needs to be stricken because there is no difference. There's no 0.4 difference from the proposed ridge to the permitted ridge. The permitted ridge would have to be within 0.2 feet to stay at the maximum 35-foot definition. Right, so I wanted to understand what the statement's being made on the plan and then stipulate to correcting and striking it to ensure a fixed height elevation.
Right. I think what I was saying there was we're proposing 34.8 feet to the top of the ridge. And what we'll do is when we're framing, we get the first couple of rafters up before we even frame the whole roof. We'll have all that certified to make sure that we're not over the height, the allowed height. But I was just saying there that under the zoning by right, we could go to 35 feet, but I figured a little less just in case of a little glitch in the field or something where they won't be right. We aren't proposing an exactly 35-foot high ridge. So, but I just mentioned, I wanted to make a distinction there that if it was, let's say, 34.9 feet, that the board that the zoning officer would not say, well, you've got to go back to the board that they approved only 34.8 feet. I'm just trying to say that our maximum is
The
35.
proposed height is 0.2 feet from the maximum, and you're indicating a 0.4 spread between what you're proposing and what's permitted. So there's an error.
0.2. Yeah, it's only 0.2. That's right.
Right, it's only 0.2.
So we're going to be, I wanted to,
So that would be 434.1 as the permitted next to it on all the elevation sheets.
I thought I had all those elevations
And then-
correct, so it's, but it basically, I think, let me just see if I don't know if I can recheck those numbers, but are you saying that it looks like some of the elevation numbers are incorrect, like proposed ridge 433.9?
And then next to it, 434.3, it would be 434.1 would be a fixed 35-foot height without
I
variance.
see what you're saying, it's more than 0.2 difference.
Right, and then above that, you have a max ridge elevation at 437.5, which conflicts with the other two, which I think is a remnant from
It must be a
prior revisions. So that's on the right side elevation, I believe, right? Is that what we were just looking at? No. Sorry.
Sorry, let me just see if the other ones
That was
have
on the front elevation.
I'm surprised that's on there.
And then I think it's also 437, it's also then on the left side elevation.
Okay, well, that was certainly intended to be,
I think that there are a number of plan errors, I think, that need to be stipulated to and understood to be corrected for what the board receives and accepts as resolution compliance if this was to be
Right,
voted
so-
to an approval.
hopefully, we can do that on the signature sets and just make it clear that we are not asking to go over 38.4 feet from the average grade.
Okay.
So if hopefully the board can just accept that. There might be some remnant notes that I missed.
I think it's in respectively in each of your elevation views.
I'm sorry?
It's in each of your elevation views between that reference to the 0.4 greater in permitted, that would be corrected, as well as the old max ridge line in reference in a couple locations.
Yes, I'll make sure we get those back.
The height calculation that you're using for average grade is the same as it was last time to establish the average grade, which was 399.1, correct? And those are the same points that were provided by our township assistant engineer in the in-house calculation and then used for your calculation.
Yes, the 3399.1, I believe, if I just understood what you said, is correct. It's the one, it agrees with what your engineer corrected us with.
Okay, so we're using the same points for average distribution in 20 feet around at a representative average grade height as opposed to skewed in any particular direction. You're agreeing with the calculation from our assistant engineer?
Yes, I'm agreeing with it.
Okay, and the only changes were made architecturally to the height in the first floor, ceiling height, the second floor ceiling height, and then the ridge coming down in the habitable attic. So that being cumulatively
Correct.
what would be just over 3.5 feet that were reduced architecturally in the plan. No change in the exterior footprint, so no change in the average grade calculation. Correct.
Correct. No change. So I'm just trying to get back to my, okay.
And then you said you added some references. Oh, sorry. Before I move on to that, there are a few items on the submitted hard copy were stricken from notes with your initials on them, and it would appear that they're also then identified on the PDF set with a strikeout.
Yes, I noticed at the last minute that some references to the 38.4 weren't caught, so I did it that way.
Okay. And so all of those are reflected from your hand notes to the digital submitted record copy.
Yes, I believe they
Okay.
should be agreed.
So it looks like it's to the side of the warm floor area buildings, building height based on topo 20 feet from building, 35 allowed, 31.8, existing grade 38.4, proposed stricken. So that would be corrected at the proposed height of 34.8. And then same with further down across from the schedule of zoning requirements, there's a statement, the height of the ridge proposed at 34.8. That's correct and underlined,
Yes,
right? And then on Board of Adjustment checklist notes, 5, variance relief from section 95.8, and at the last line of that, you have then stricken and corrected. So I'd prefer to see those items corrected on the plan
Yes,
set
on
the
the
board
signature
accepts in
sets, I will
compliance.
correct those and make sure that there's no ambiguity.
Okay, and then the tables that you added, part of the earlier testimony, the warm floor area, building areas, and the bedroom, bathroom count areas. Just to go back over those and have a better understanding for the existing floor area in the structure. We have a first and second floor warm floor areas identified for 3,209 square feet. And then is there a habitable attic, or the habitable attic is being created by the proposal?
It's being created by the proposal.
Okay, so currently it's not habitable, it's not roughed in any
Right.
way. Okay, and that habitable attic being created at 649 is slightly less than, I think it was 670-ish
Yes,
on the prior, and that's because of the 7 feet clear height.
yes, it came lower when we lowered the pitch, yes.
And the proposal for that habitable attic, does that include it's just open floor space for open den use?
Yes, it's.
Not intended for additional bedrooms
Correct.
or
It's-
plumbing to the third floor?
Right, there's no plumbing, no bathroom proposed, just mechanical equipment and an area to do homework or have a little home office or something if somebody needed some quiet space.
And the applicant would agree to that as a condition?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, it's mostly going to be.
And then the basement, unchanged from the prior proposal, just continued.
You're saying the basement?
Yes, the basement level of the basement kitchen and that habitable space in that area is unchanged from the prior plan set. Still
Correct,
reflected
correct.
at the same
Yes.
proposal, same full kitchen, the cabinet spaces and all that, just unchanged from the prior submission.
It's unchanged.
Okay, so the total habitable space, and that area is partially finished currently, about a third of it is finished currently?
Yes, this front.
A third to maybe
I'd
even
say
closer to a half?
This whole area is finished. So probably close to half is finished.
Okay. All right, and then, so then the total habitable square footage of the home is correctly stated at existing 3,805, and then increasing to 6,342.
I have to go back up there. I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
So that the total with habitable attic and with finished basement, existing at 3,805 square feet, and then proposed being 6,342. Coming from your
Yes, if
first,
you count the entire finished basement and the habitable attic portion, yes.
well, that's the clarification I want to make sure the board understands.
Yes,
Right, is there, you have the correct square footage of the habitable areas on every floor, and so that cumulative total is correct. There's no error in that.
as far as I know, it is, yes. I wanted to get the subtotals because some people were wanting to include the basement or not the basement and garage and so on, so
Their finished habitable space is intended for use and would be assessed as what accordingly by the tax assessor, correct?
Yeah, I do want to say that the floor areas that I used here are gross areas. For example, it goes to the outside surface of the exterior walls.
So comparable reductions in both the existing and the proposed, since we have similar footprint of the home?
Yes, it's the same way of calculating both ways.
Right. Okay. So in terms of percent increase of the total floor area, all of that, it's still a relative comparison for your proposal?
Yes.
3,800 and the 6,300?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think those are the questions I have just from the testimony direct, and then I'll offer over to the board for questions, and then in case I may interject to add on a couple
Okay,
on another.
thank you. Board members, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, can we talk about the kitchens? It appears there's a kitchen on the second floor as well.
No, there's no kitchen on the second floor.
Oh. Well, no, I got the first floor in the basement, but at the second floor, it said something about size of range exhaust duct. That's just housing exhaust?
You're probably seeing that there's a range hood duct that goes straight up through the second floor. And that's probably the note you're seeing. It goes right through the walk-in closet. I'll point to it. I think you're saying it's right here, right?
Well, it's the rectangle
The
above
larger-
that.
I think the larger rectangle is what you're referencing to, right?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
there's a rectangle above that. It says,
Oh, right here?
yeah,
That's just part of the walk-in closet, like furniture or a little island type piece in a walk-in closet for like drawers and like.
So that whole room is a closet?
Yes, that whole room is a big closet. And this is just a chase for the range hood from below.
Oh, okay. That's a big closet. All right. So then the basement kitchen, can we stipulate that it won't be used for commercial purposes? That's a big kitchen. I mean, I like to bake too. That's a huge kitchen.
You know, it's going to have to all be designed. I'm sorry, let me just go back to the basement here. It's going to have to be refined somewhat, but it's basically just a placeholder at this point. I haven't really talked extensively about what's there, but I'm sure he'll have a refrigerator, an oven, and a prep area, some that type of thing. It hasn't really been fully developed.
Oh, there's a section on the right called staging area.
Right. I just didn't know what else to call it. It's basically just a place to have equipment and maybe a prep island. But there's nothing commercial about it. It's just a hobby or not sort of a thing that he does for people. And he's brought a few loaves to me since we started. And it was delicious, and I just really appreciated it.
I mean, I bake bread too. It's a hobby for me as well.
Yeah.
But I don't have a 32-foot kitchen. So it looks to me like the intent is to make it a commercial kitchen, and I don't know whether give things away or sell things or whatever, but I don't know, is maybe board members
You
or,
can stipulate, you can make any condition you want about it. It is what I've told you it is. It's just for a personal interest that he has. And he does
then you
for
would stipulate
friends
that
and
it can't be
family.
used for commercial purposes.
Right.
Is there a specific definition for commercial purposes in our ordinance?
Well, it couldn't be used for business purposes, right? Because that he would have to satisfy the home occupation requirements in the ordinance. And if he couldn't, be back here. So it just couldn't be used for business purposes without coming back here then for further variance relief.
And the
Does
health department will
business-
also have to
Yeah, I
inspect.
understand there are other constraints in the health department and health code of the state for commercial baking inside of residence. In fact, I think we're one of the only states that doesn't allow specifically for commercial kitchens in residential dwellings.
Okay.
So I think there are existing citations in state regulations and health code that prevent
So
that.
that stipulation would go far toward,
But I
My
think
concern.
that plus the stipulation in the record of the approval would be sufficient to document it in both angles, both, in case the state were to change its regulations that currently would, my understanding is, prevent it.
okay. All right, thank you. Then, sure.
No.
Wait, not right, we're still questioning him. You'll have an opportunity to testify. Yes, plus I have to swear you in. Okay.
Board members, any other questions? No? At this time, any members of the public have any questions for this witness, the architect?
So before we do, I believe it's cottage food operators permits, and there's certain restrictions to that at the state health code level. It's for the board's understanding. Cottage food operator.
Okay, thank you.
There is a sign-in sheet at the podium if you'd like to expedite the spelling and address information.
Are you asking us not to request? Okay, so yeah, if you could please,
Just put a sign-in sheet so they can write down their name.
Sign-in
and
sheet's
address.
great, but I'm still going to have you state your name and spell it.
Fair enough.
okay?
thank you.
I'm just going to pass this. Jason Churcha, Cherchia.
I'm sorry, again.
Jason, Jason, Churcha, Cherchia. I live at 31 Knollwood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I own that property as well. I just have a few questions. regarding the commercial kitchen, would the applicant agree to, if they were to get an approval, would the applicant agree to record the resolution in the chain of title? That way the next purchaser of the home is also aware of the condition. Because while you're certainly aware of it, if this home were to be sold, the buyer, who is not here right now, may not be aware of it, and would the applicant be agreeable to recording the resolution in the chain
I
of
think
title?
that's a good idea. I don't think he has to record the whole resolution, but we could record a deed notice that identifies that, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell me approximately what percentage of the home is being demolished and how much is going to, of the existing home is going to be demolished and how much of the existing home is going to remain?
I'm sorry, the question is for the.
It's for the architect.
Architect.
Roughly a percentage.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm just going to answer it this way. The entire rear sunroom is being demolished. And the roof over the existing garage is being demolished to make the new floor for the bedroom. But otherwise, of course, the existing roof of the house is coming off, and the existing second floor walls and the existing second floor structure is coming off, because we're going to extend the first floor walls higher and build a new second floor, and pretty much the same layout of the second floor.
Okay.
We're just lifting it up.
I heard earlier, maybe I misheard you. You mentioned something about needing the garage expansion for the safety of from animals. Is that what I heard? Maybe I heard you incorrectly.
I was talking about the reason we want to have this bump out in the front was to provide more space for bins for, where it's convenient, right near where you would take them out to the curb for recycling and trash, and not have to leave them outside in a enclosure or something outside. But it's also to provide a way to have a pedestrian door that you could walk in without raising the overhead doors. So for example, if there was a delivery or somebody visiting, that they could just come through that side door.
Okay. The addition above the garage, that's the side of the house that has the non-conforming setback, is that right?
Yes.
And the addition, well, does the existing home have windows that face the neighboring home? I saw you're adding windows, so my question is, does the existing home have windows on that side?
On the front?
On the side,
On the left side?
the side with the garage that faces towards that home with the non-conforming setback.
I think there might be one in the back, but I don't know for sure. Let me just see if I have a photo of it. No, these are the surrounding houses. I do have it here somewhere. If you want me to try to find it, I might be able to click to it. Let me see. This is the original set of files. So this is, I'm going to zoom in on this.
No windows.
This is the existing house, the front here, and this is the left side where you just have the garage doors and the side of the roof. So there are no windows on that side.
Okay. And my last question is, did you identify any specific purposes of the MLUL that you're relying on for your C2 variance?
Yes. I don't have my physical notes here, but I did include that in my application as an attachment. So it's with all the original documents and online. And so I'm just going to use my exhibit here to go through it. And essentially, basically, as I mentioned earlier, we have two paragraphs of proofs. Essentially, it has to do with the C1, which has to do with the hardship. And we feel that those existing tapered lot lines and the pre-existing non-conforming corners could be qualified as a hardship that an owner has to just cope with. For example, the 17.1 on the right side is what it is. We're just going up a little bit over that, and it's
Right, my question was about the C2, though. I understood your testimony about C1.
okay. So the C2, I feel that we're providing, we're fulfilling paragraphs A, C, G, I, and J. A has to do with safety and general welfare, and the fact that the garage is going to function better and have a more suitable way for guests and deliveries to come and go, and have the bins controlled and inside a secure area.
I'm sorry, you said deliveries come and go?
Well, like if someone has a delivery or if a guest comes and they want to visit and come through the side door, that's all.
Okay, but you're agreeing it's not a commercial?
No,
Okay.
I mean just a private home delivery.
Okay, I don't have any
We
more
could just
questions.
pause for a second. In providing your proofs, the promotion of public health,
Oh, yes,
safety,
I can
welfare,
basically,
with the proofs though, as you're stating them, they need to be comprehensive to the public and the township as a whole, not to a benefit of the applicant or their
It can't be
rephrase
personal
from
to
saying,
the applicant.
yeah. And so the
Right.
way that you just stated that was specific to the operation of the trash and other things. Frankly, trash management is something that all neighbors have to address and need to conduct safely. So whether it's in the garage or in a designated area inside the garage in an annex is not constituting that. I just want, as was stated, it was more individualized. I'd like you to just revise that statement to make it more broadband to the public and to the township to satisfy the proof.
Yes, and in your direct testimony, when you spoke about the C2 proofs, you mentioned aesthetics, which is purpose I. You didn't say purpose I, but that is purpose I, right?
Correct.
yes.
know if that's in
I would
your-
use the aesthetics, yes.
In your application papers, but I is with respect to aesthetic
So
improvement.
I'll accept what Joseph is saying about the purpose of A, and
Well, in all purposes that you are speaking to, the benefits are to the global we of the township and the residents and the neighborhood as opposed to the applicant.
okay, well, I'll accept that you probably are more aware of that global intention for those paragraphs. I've used those before and felt that, for example, historically appropriate under C, where we are the house is traditional and it's providing light and air between homes with the way the roofs are set up. And then G has to do with residential uses and the fact that we are fulfilling the intended use for the zone being a single family home, but it's updating it for current needs of this period of time where you have multiple people in the home living together, working, going to school, and doing a lot more in the home remotely than they used to do.
Is the existing home vacant or underutilized?
I'm sorry.
Is the existing home vacant or underutilized or unable to come to market to be inhabited as it currently exists without additions and alterations?
All right, so that basically purpose I is the key that has to do with the improvement to the streetscape and the fact that it's consistent with the more traditional older homes, the higher quality homes being built, and the high quality materials, trim, top of the line windows, and the steeper roof with the dormers just creates a nicer street frontage.
Okay, but you didn't answer his question, right? Is the house currently vacant?
It was rented for a year or so, but I think it's vacant. It's
Right now, it's vacant?
yes.
Vacant.
It was supposed to be under construction by now, but we're delayed.
Yeah,
So the lease had run its course as opposed to becoming an underutilization or vacancy.
Right.
Is it marketed currently?
It's not being marketed now.
Okay.
It is outdated, though. You know, it's for example, the back sunroom was just built on top of a deck, which shouldn't have really been done. So there are things like that. in the
Would you
house.
characterize the neighborhood as outdated? Would you characterize the neighborhood as outdated, and would you find that the home as it exists currently is in character to the existing neighborhood?
But I didn't mean that the neighborhood is outdated.
No, I understand. We just want to be specific with the variance proofs being put forward and have a clear understanding that they're demonstrated. Right? It can be both. Existing home can be in character to the neighborhood, and the proposed improvements can also be in kind to the character of the neighborhood if that's what you believe the appropriate improvement has been architecturally put forward to still promote while providing for a modernization that makes the home more marketable and desirable for a longer continued lifespan. Right? It can be both. I just want to have a clear understanding of if it needs to occur because it's underutilized and is not marketable, and therefore it is coming back to the neighborhood because others have done improvements, or if we have a neighborhood that exists as it has been and has mostly been with minor improvements, and this larger scaled improvement is still in kind with that neighborhood. That distinction should be understood by the board and in the proof.
I wouldn't object to that. I think that's a good way to state it, and I'm going to try to remember that.
So you find the existing home as is in character to the neighborhood, and you feel that the proposed improvements modernize and help the home, improve the home while keeping in character to the neighborhood. Is that your testimony?
Yeah, I don't feel that the improvements are too extreme to where they start to look out of place, and that the fact that we're still pretty much consistent with the yards and so on.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Timothy Dixon, 14 Kissel Lane, also an owner in the neighborhood. So before asking for the variance on the front of the property, I noticed that the back of the property, the yard tapers out to the left. Why wouldn't that extension on the garage be able to be put on the back of the house where the variance would no longer be needed?
Okay. I'm just going to, so I don't have to scroll, I'm just going to go back here. You're saying that, what you're asking, why is the bump out in the front not feasible on the left side of the house?
Yeah, I mean, generally before you ask for a variance, you've exhausted all other options to make the property work and be in conformance with the permitting laws. So my question is, there's plenty of space on the back of the house. Why wasn't the extension put on the back of the house? It would still serve the same function of, access for deliveries and guests and an area for your trash, but you wouldn't need the variance.
All right, so there are many ways to do things. When I was looking at this project, and I think it really came from the front elevation. I'm going to go down to that, where we always try to avoid allowing a house to look too boxy, so to speak. Where you just build over a garage and extend the roof, and all of a sudden it looks like it's much too big. So I wanted to be able to turn the roof 90 degrees over the garage. Sorry, I keep hitting this the wrong way here. And make it look like almost a mast that has its own roof that's connected to the original box of the house, which is here. And in order to do that, I couldn't just have the side go straight across. I needed to have some corner boards and some slight difference in the front elevation, or I wanted to just turn this corner back and then come across and come back out and have something under this new gable end, which was also becoming part of the master suite above the garage. So it just kind of made sense on both levels to do that here for the sake of the front elevation, so that it kind of made the reverse gable, or, the 90-degree turn of the main roof make sense and make it look like it needed to be that way for a reason.
So if again, I'm not an expert in this, but it sounds like it's more aesthetics than actually needed for function to be able to build the property that way.
Well, certainly aesthetics is part of it.
But aesthetics isn't unless I'm understanding it right, aesthetics is not a need for a variance.
Well,
I didn't see that in the code list. I don't know it exactly, but.
Right, we were just talking about the purposes of the MLUL and the municipal land use law, which is a state law that guides all boards in the state on how to justify variances. And we were just talking about those purposes before. Let me see if I can just zoom out here for a second. So those purposes do include what's known as C2, has to do with the aesthetic, where you can use aesthetic improvement, especially if it affects the streetscape, so to speak, where it just basically is something that will improve the yard and streetscape and landscaping and the overall appearance. It is an accepted justification for granting a variance, even that alone, without practical hardship. So,
Right, but the bump out was a C1 variance, not a C2, correct?
well, it was both, because I felt it was C1 because of the fact that we have the pre-existing corner that is non-conforming, and we could have complied with that by just shifting the corner. I just want to show you that because
No, I saw it. So we'll table that for now. You said that the updates are to be consistent with the aesthetics of the neighborhood. And I believe this question was brought up in the last meeting of how many houses in this neighborhood have 3 stories with dormers on the 3rd floor?
I can't tell you that answer. I haven't surveyed. I don't think.
So the question was asked in the last meeting and not answered. So how many homes in the neighborhood are in excess of 6,000 square feet of habitable space?
I haven't done that analysis. They're counting the basement and
Yeah, and you're counting it before and you're counting it now, but you're making it bigger and more furnished. So you need to count that space. So again, another question that was asked and not answered. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Milio, 16 Canterbury Way.
Just spell your last name, please.
Milio, Mileo.
Thank you.
In line with questioning, I guess, last 2 residents, friends of mine.
I'm sorry, did you give us your address?
Yeah, 16 Canterbury Way.
16? Thank you.
Yep, thank you. And in the application quotes of being in line with houses in the neighborhood, I think Tim asked the question, how many houses above 6,000 square feet? I would ask how many above 6,500 and ask you to check that calculation on the square footage of the house. I would ask if you're including the closets in that calculation of space, habitable area. Like what is excluded from the habitable area? I'm assuming mechanicals, garage, you mentioned. What is actually excluded from the habitable area?
Right, let me just say that, when we look at building coverage, or in some towns, there's a floor area ratio where people want to see the overall size of a house. We don't have that in Morris Township, but we measure to the outside surface of the walls, and it includes all the closets, all the mechanical space. There are some exclusions, but when a realtor compares houses, like let's say if you see a house that says, okay, we're selling a house, it's got 5,000 square feet, they're usually just referring to the warm floor area, or they'll qualify it and say, plus garage or plus basement or something like that. So the 6,000 square foot number that you're using is a total gross area of the house. It's not, if you just look at, that's why I tried to show it as warm floor. But the first floor, excluding the garage, is 1809, proposed is 2172. Second floor is 1400 and 2149, and that excludes an open foyer where a bedroom's being removed. So that total is 4321. But then if you add, we have a habitable attic, which most people don't have it. You wouldn't even notice it. It's still the same roof. Essentially, you're just finishing a little bit of it for a bonus room, so to speak. And so that is counted as 649. That brings it to 4970. And then if you count the finished basement, which is all below grade, just about all, there's some walkout in the back, but it's all hard to see. It brings it to 63. So you really should be comparing, if you want to look warm floor to warm floor, the way you would think of a realtor talking about houses in the area, it's more like 4321. That's the number they would use to compare.
So based on that, are you asserting that those extra spaces have no impact on the home or the neighborhood or anything of that sort?
For the assessed value.
Because that's what you seem to be implying when you're comparing 4,300 and warm floor, but you seem to be excluding I see the number is there, but in terms of influence or impact, you don't seem to be putting much weight into that.
No, I'm not really trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that, let me see if I can not have to scroll here. No, I'm going to do it. If I go back down to the elevation, because I think the overall point of your question is about the overall volume of the house as compared to other houses along the street. Is it going to look too big, comparatively speaking?
Well, that's one aspect of it, but I would think everybody in this room would be concerned of volume. I mean, if you create a box, as you said before, which would be unsightly, well, not obviously there's issues with that, but to create a box in that footprint and jam 8, 9, 10,000 square feet into it, I think there'd be a lot of concerns with people in the neighborhood, especially when they're probably, the majority of these houses are in the order of 3,000 square feet. I mean, and to Tim's question earlier, are there any houses that you came across in the neighborhood that are upwards of 6,000 square feet?
I think my answer is that basically you have a proposed 2-story house, which there are a lot of those in the neighborhood. It looks like it's basically got a 9-foot ceiling. Yes, it's maybe, I don't know how many 9-foot ceilings are, but that's not very uncommon in homes today on the first floor. So you've got a 2-story house. The gutter line is still about where it was. It's maybe a foot higher. And then instead of a low slope roof, we have a steeper roof, but it's still a roof. So it's going to look like a 2-story house with a roof. Yes, there are some dormers, but that's not that uncommon even for attics. Even unfinished attics, they'll put just for the look of it. And yeah, we have some more volume over the garage now that we didn't have before, but we tried to break it up so that it doesn't look boxy, and I don't think it does look boxy. I don't think it looks too big.
So then to clarify, your statement in line with the houses in the neighborhood is strictly on visual.
Well, I think that's what most people are concerned about is visually going
I
up and down.
don't think everybody in this room would agree with you and people watching at home. I just don't think they would. Or maybe members of the board, which we're going to hear from, but I don't agree with that. I think a lot of people in this room don't agree with that. Yes, it's important, but I don't think it's just
Sir,
the look.
it's just
Yeah.
questions now.
Yeah, okay. So I'll ask other questions. I guess I'm going to ask and presume with 6,000 square feet, not checking housing neighborhood, have you checked with other houses in the neighborhood that have habitable attics? Is that something you've done?
No, I haven't done it.
Okay. Have you checked if any houses in the neighborhood have closets upwards? I see one 16 by 14, 14 by 12. Is that common in our
To do
neighborhood?
that kind of research would be it'd be
Okay.
very, very time consuming.
Have you checked how many houses in the neighborhood have 2 kitchens upwards of 900 square feet in the neighborhood?
No.
Have you checked any houses in the neighborhood that are combined 2,000 square feet of recreation area, not including the living room and the back patio area that's being enclosed, or the back room? Have you checked if any houses in the neighborhood have over 2,000 square feet of recreation
No, the
space, as you
thing
call
is,
it?
I know where you're going with it, but when we look at this as planners, we basically start with the zone, the setbacks, the side, front, and rear setback, the height, the stories, and we try to build within that envelope. That's an allowable building envelope. If we were to do that, we would have quite a bit larger house. The front wall, let's say someone wanted to take this house down and build a compliant house, right? The whole front wall could align with this front of the garage, because that does respect the front yard setback. The sides would be very close to where they are here. They'd be a little bit in if you just didn't want to have to deal with the pre-existing sides. And the top, you could have 2.5 stories, 35 feet high. So our average grade would probably be about the same. So, basically somebody could just build a house by right and not have to go to the board, you know what I'm saying? And it could have a big family room, it could have a big kitchen, it could have big closets. No, that's not controlled by the zoning ordinance. It's more of a marketing thing and a personal preference that people have when they have certain needs and families and, preferences.
Yeah, and I understand, I'm just, based on what I read in the application, and I see in line with the houses in the neighborhood, I don't agree with that statement, and I think a lot of people would disagree with you. When I also read about undue burden, and I think this was the exchange a moment ago, if those features were absent from this house, are you asserting there's undue burden? Because I would like to say most people don't have that stuff in our neighborhood, and I don't think they're feeling a burden.
Well, I think when I meant consistent with the neighborhood, I meant traditional. It has traditional siding, traditional windows, shutters, roofing.
That's fair.
That it looks like a traditional house. That's what I meant. I wasn't trying to compare room areas.
Okay, well then, I don't see the connection to the statement of undue burden and reduced economic utility. I think that would impact most of the people in the room, not necessarily the applicant. I think it's the other way around.
Thank you.
There'll be an opportunity to talk to the owner or board after, throughout the meeting. You have other opportunities to come back up.
When they've completed all their testimony, then the public can come up and
Gotcha.
make their statements.
Comments? Yep.
That may or may not be tonight. Okay. So just to get back to something that gentleman mentioned, so I just want to clarify. So the total square footage under roof, right, is 6,342 square feet.
Habitable.
To the outside walls, including the basement and the attic.
And all right, and the only thing we're excluding with that is the garage, or is
garage,
that?
includes the garage.
So everything under roof, right,
Yes.
is 6,342 square feet. And the,
I'm sorry,
Excuse
let me
me.
go back up, make sure. Let me just see it.
Warm floor chart, first floor excluding the garage and second floor excluding open, it says. Would that be open air areas from the first floor to the
There's
second?
open foyer at the front
Right.
door.
because you have a two-story foyer coming in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all on the same page. What's the under roof square footage?
Well, it's correct to say that both of those areas for the first and second floor did not include the garage. The existing and proposed did not include the garage. 'Cause I thought
Okay.
that's the nature of the question.
So well, that's not really the question, but we'll get to the question
Right.
again. So under roof is 6,342 square feet plus the garage?
The garage, I think can give you that.
I just want the number under roof. What's the
Okay.
under roof square footage?
Including garage, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just have to take that number and add the garage. I would say it's around 600 square feet with the addition.
Just 16.
The garage is
Okay, 590.
20 by 26.
592.
So 512 square feet is the garage.
6934.
Yeah, so it's rounding up to 600 proposed is the garage with the addition.
Well, he just said 512. Is
Well,
that a
I
right
think that
number?
was the existing. Let me just see.
The existing it's the first floor footprint, first floor plan, enlarged two-car garage, 512.2 square feet.
There's also the trash recycle below that.
Which is then 80.5 square feet. So cumulatively 600 square feet, just under 600 square feet of trash recycling and two-car enlarged garage.
69.
So 592 and a half is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so we're around 6,900 square feet, a little over.
6930.
Under roof?
Right, that
I'm asking you, you drew the plan. What's the number?
Yes, yes, if we could add the garage back in, you'd be up in that area, yes. Right?
Why don't we take 5 and then?
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess now. For the April 27th, 2026 Board of Adjustment meeting, the Township of Morris. Roll call.
Mr. Evangel?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Simmons?
Yes, here.
Mr. Benoit?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Goldberg?
Here. Thank you. Bank details. Hey, Mr. Aller?
Yeah, so during the break, the applicant's architect came up and mentioned some possible modifications to the plan. Is there
Yes,
anything there?
I thought, I've talked to the owner about it and taking into considerations the neighbors' concerns. I'm going to go down to the elevation here. So, but what the owner is agreeable to is remove all 3 of these front dormers from the front roof and just have roofing there, which would be similar to the other houses. Give up and stipulate that he doesn't need to keep the habitable attic, that it would just be a plywood floor for storage, mechanical, et cetera, like most attics are. So that would remove square footage, warm floor square footage from the house. In addition, regarding the basement kitchen, we would just call that a wet bar, just a sink and refrigerator like you would have in any recreation room in a recreation room in a basement. We don't have to call it a baking kitchen or staging area or anything like that. It would just be for workout equipment, like the things that other people do in basements, essentially residential uses in the basement. So those are 3 substantial changes. Let me just zoom in here. There was another concern about the front bump out. And what we're thinking is that we could take, we would like to keep a door there if possible, because the overhead doors are where they are, the columns and the girder are where they are, and I can't fit a door in there. So there is a door in the back, but it's to a finished mudroom area. It's not an unfinished garage area. So we could take about 1 foot 2 to 1 foot 4 inches off the depth of this front. And that would happen all the way up. Maybe even more, but we were trying to keep the door and enough room for trim and structure. But that would basically bring this corner closer to the existing front wall of the house. Okay. So if the board is agreeable to that, we could stipulate to that. And then what we're hoping is that we can have this approved tonight and come back with signature sets with all these changes made, reviewed by the engineer, and then go ahead and hopefully, be able to answer any final questions through Joseph or whatever at the hearing for the resolution. But we're willing to discuss this front bump out if it's a problem. But every foot that you go back reduces the non-compliance with the side yard. So. And we don't think it's feasible to, which was the original thinking on this project, was that we didn't want to notch there. But it is, we could revisit it. Maybe that is a possibility if we go back. And, what I'm saying is if this corner had to be pushed over half a foot, it wouldn't quite look right, but we might be able to revisit that. But I think that the notion of pushing this whole wall back, let's say a foot or 2 inches, would make it look more agreeable with the existing front plane of the house, and we could still have enough trim and corners to make the roof look logical.
Do you know what the setback would be? Are you able to do a calculation where if you continued that front wall across to the point where it would intersect with that new section, I'll call it new section of the garage, what the setback would be from that point?
Yes, right now, the existing setback to the existing corner of the house, to that main corner, not the garage corner, is 53.8 feet to this corner. And our proposed setback to the corner of our bump out was 50.7 feet. So if we went back a foot, it would become 51.7. If we could just adjust that, and then the setback to the corner of the garage right now is 56.5. The proposed front on that corner is 51.4. So basically, we would be adding to the 50.7 to 51.4, whatever amount we go back.
Yeah, I meant to the side yard.
Side yard, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the side.
Because if you're going to ask the board to say, hey, we're going to,
So I think
I don't know if
do
we
the
can
math.
get to a vote, but if we can, what are we voting for then, right? So what are you proposing the side yard setback would be? Currently, it's 29.7. You're proposing 29.2. So when you move that wall back so that it's consistent with the front wall, right, you get to that, whatever that point is, and that point to the side yard is what?
I'd say we could call it 29.4.
So I think you have,
I don't think you can call it.
you have a 0.5 difference in existing to proposed.
Right.
And then you have a 5 foot, 2 inch difference in the proposed bump out forward. So roughly on a linear scale on that corner,
Each foot is
each foot that you go back is 0.1 of a foot in setback.
Exactly.
We think the same way.
Yeah, you're right.
We were trained the same way.
Yeah.
So I think it's about, for what you were discussing was about a foot to 2 foot back would be another 0.1 or 0.2 feet on the setback, respectively.
Okay, I just think we should know the number.
Well, I think we could go ahead and just say that we could agree to 29.4, and I'll make it work. I'll make sure that the plan agrees with that.
So your proposal is to change that side yard to 29.4 feet. Okay, the basement change would be only a wet bar, sink, rec room, right? No separate kitchen. Right, I think that was the key, really.
The habitable space.
No habitable attic.
Right,
in
the
attic.
habitable space on the basement is the same, it's just not specifically purposed as a kitchen.
Right. And removal of the 3 front dormers. I have it all? That's all of
I
it?
believe so, yes.
Okay.
The habitable attic also.
Yeah,
Yeah, I said that. No habitable attic. There's still an attic, it's just not noted as habitable, which means you're not finishing off the attic. Right?
Correct.
That's everything? Okay.
I think that was it.
Yes.
Okay, so we understand the change of the plan. Do you have any other witnesses?
No.
Okay, thought the owner wanted to say something, no? No, you're good?
Yeah, you didn't finish cross.
Oh, I thought the line went away, so. Okay.
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 Members of the public,
Okay,
then
so, sure, we can still continue.
Gonna open the public portion.
Well, can the public see what the plans are specifically? Because they might.
I'm
still have
sorry,
it.
sir, but we need you to come to the microphone.
Paul Woodford, 36 Knoll Drive.
Thank you.
2 houses down. I think the public has a right to be able to see the plans and evaluate them before any vote, so they can make a meaningful cross-examination and meaningful comments. So I think we have to have revised plans before we can do anything else.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't disagree. I know you're trying to say all these things so that the board would vote tonight, but, they're important. You can see you brought out the whole neighborhood. That's how important it is. And I think we need to know, really, if we're going to, we need to know that it's 29.4, for example, right? So we need to see that plan, and then I think there might, be fairly quick at a subsequent meeting to resolve it. But,
Mr. Olson,
we're getting there. We
Yeah,
haven't finished the public,
Yeah.
I know, but, right,
We'll get back to the board.
right. I just mean, I don't think there's that much more time after tonight, but,
Yeah.
We can
Right.
continue the question.
We're gonna
on the
continue-
amended,
Right.
on
Yep.
the amended proposal,
Correct.
right.
and then take that comment into consideration for the plans being in hand,
Correct.
and then we'll go back to the
To the
board.
board yep. State your name and address, please.
Christina Ruggieri, 33 Sunderland Drive. I just had a question regarding the steps up to the now inhabitable attic. Will they be removed?
The reason I'm hesitating is this whole thing is kind of a moving target, if you will. So, I know we have a lot of pull-down stairs, and the owner would probably, is in a mood where he would probably be agreeable to it, but we can talk about it, and when we resubmit, we could look at it. But I can tell you that even for unfinished attics today, we often put in safe stairs with handrails where you don't have to use a ladder or a pull-down stair, because people are going up in age. They want to feel secure going up in and out, up and down to get Christmas decorations and so on. Be able to send anybody, like a child, up there without a question and say, could you get me that box or something like that. And so it isn't uncommon to have a comfortable stair up to an attic.
I would agree if the house was the size of my house, but being the house is so large and you have so much storage in the basement, why wouldn't you just put these items down there?
It's getting to the point
A
where.
lot of recreation space that's there, and now the kitchen's getting much smaller.
This is questions for the applicant.
Yeah, we have mechanical equipment that has to be maintained. I mean, we could talk about it. I don't think it's necessary for us to agree about what kind of stair we're going to have to the attic. These things are starting to cross over into like the owner's preference, where any house could put in a stair to an attic without any approvals, as long as it's, it's for safety and for convenience of going up and down, and it's not a finished attic. So, it's going to be stipulated that this is a non-finished attic with a plywood floor, and that's it. And you go up and you'll see insulation and
So with
equipment and boxes.
with the changes that you're suggesting, the unfinished attic and the not a full kitchen, just a wet bar, would that be part, you guys, I don't know the term, but it was meaning that in the future, it couldn't be a kitchen. It could only be a wet bar, period. Or was there a possibility that future owners or the current owner a couple of years from now could make that a kitchen again, as originally stipulated in the plan?
And I'll answer that. Any future change would have to go through zoning permit and a building permit process. And that if it's allowable, it would be something that might be considered, for example, today we have houses where we need an in-law apartment or something like that, where not that we're going to do that, but I'm just saying it happens where you need a way for an elderly person to be able to use a microwave or something. And so I'm just saying it would be something that would be requested through a zoning permit and through formal approvals if it ever needed to be done.
Okay. The habitable attic concerns me, but the size of the laundry room also concerns me. It's like 10 by 10. That can hold a lot of double stacked washers and dryers. And I'm just wondering, why is the laundry room so big?
I know they've tended to go down in size over the years to where now we just have closets with stacked units. But a lot of people still want to be able to have a nice side-by-side with folding area, ironing area, hampers, and have, maybe even someone else in there working with them. So it's not that 10 by 10 isn't really that big, really, honestly. A lot of the older homes had real laundry rooms with sinks and, equipment, and you have some storage and ironing and equipment and things like that. So it's just a matter of elbow room and comfort. And
There's a lot of space. 10 by 10 is the size of some bedrooms. Small bedroom, of course, but that's a big
This is
space.
questions, Ray, for the,
Excuse me?
for me of a question. So what is the
Oh,
question?
I'm sorry. I guess I'll just state that it leaves open up the possibility of a lot of laundry facility machines in there. Okay, and the only other thing I would like to add is, in our neighborhood, we've had a couple instances where there have been code violations. Someone was,
So
sorry,
again,
yeah,
it's
it's questions for this.
oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
There'll be
Okay.
time at the end
Right.
for comments and.
Then I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Ashok Narayan. I live at 21 Black Watch Trail.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Yeah, Ashok Narayan.
Okay, you spell it?
Ashok Narayan, Naraian. Narayan, that's my last name.
Thank you.
And I live at 21 Black Watch Trail, which is right behind next street down. Issues about all these modifications. The diagrams don't really, explain it in terms of the environmental impact, because we've had the next door, especially on my neighbor, and to a small extent, I've had that, where there's some stormwater overflow. So as to how these changes will affect the pooling of puddles in the backyard, that acutely affects the next door. And it affects us too, to some extent. And as to how it's being addressed, because if a tree that's there is going to come down, then that'll adversely, I don't know if it's going to come down, maybe the tree still is going to exist. But that's the kind of, and overall, and the other question I had was.
Okay, let's do one question at a time, okay? Right now, we're asking about drainage, right?
Yeah, the overall,
Okay.
yeah, soil.
So is there any impact to off-site drainage?
it's if anything, it's going to be less off-site runoff because we have a very nice dry well and we're picking up most of the roof leaders. Certainly all the new roof area, I think I have this entire back roof of the existing roof included, but we're really collecting and storing a lot of the storm runoff underground.
Yeah, but is the tree going to remain? Because the tree is also a source of privacy and it has a certain soil stabilization.
Yes, I have shown the existing trees, that's, the surveyor had them on there, and I tried to locate the dry well far enough away from the tree and the root ball to allow that to be carefully installed.
So the tree is going to remain behind?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not going back. Yeah, because those are the overflow concerns, the main overflow, environmental concerns. And as to the, from a property tax perspective, a larger area, that is something for the board to address. And I would put that in there. It's outside the purview of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So just, I'm comparing the two sets and I noticed that the new submission has 8 sheets when the prior had 14. Are the C drawings, what would be, I guess, 2? Sorry, there is no 2. C3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The civil drawings, which includes your detail for the dry well, the trenching and other details, and then the plantings. Are those all still part of the record set, or were they removed from the record set?
Yes, those sheets were not updated, but they are still part of the record.
Okay, so then they'll be combined in the second revision. Okay, so that's still your record proposal on the stormwater. I see the dry well is still there, but that you're demonstrating your calculations on these other sheets.
Right.
Okay. And then for the board's understanding, that is all still subject to a lock rating permit under the engineering department for review and approval.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just have one question relating to the revision. I'm sorry, I was up before.
Yeah.
Jason Churcha again. I just have one question related to the revision that was just announced. Can we get clarification on what variances are still going to be required? If I'm assuming there are some or we wouldn't be here at all, but I guess I just would point out that we're still putting a second floor on the garage and the garage encroaches in the required setback. We're putting a second floor in there.
Yeah, that's, so the variances remain,
Okay,
right? So you still have the 2 side yard
yeah,
variances because he's going straight up,
right,
right? And that creates the. an
right. That's
additional
why I'm asking. Okay,
Variance, right, on both side yards.
okay, thank you.
Right, so the second story is at the existing, right? And then the first story is where the front yard bump out created a shorter side yard setback,
Right.
which was the discussion we had before of
Right.
0.1 feet for every foot you move back.
Right.
To make that revision.
Yeah, Tim Dixon again, I was up before. So when you propose to shrink that front room back, what would be the width of that room that you'd be going for, and what would be the size of the door that you're looking to put in there?
Obviously, it's a little hard to be exact on it, but what we're saying is that if you approve, if the board approves a 29.4 foot to the corner, we will do whatever we can with that. And we don't have to have a certain size door. It should be big enough to pull one of these big bins in and out if possible.
Can you pull up the plan for the first floor?
Yeah.
So we can see the size of that room?
Let me just see. The foundation plan has this dimension on it of 5 foot 2 inches out.
That's the foundation plan. Can you go to the first floor plan where the room is actually going to be?
Okay. Right, I didn't have the dimension, but it's 5 foot 2 up down this side. So we would have to,
It's in your call out
Yeah.
is that,
at trash recycle.
I'm sorry?
It's in your call out, the interior dimension. trash recycle the 1510 by 51.
That's the gross area to the outside surface of the wall.
And help me understand, is there a wall that's going to go here? Or is this just going to be a bump out of the garage?
There's an existing wall. The garage wall is pretty much right there now. That would just about all come out. And this area would become part of the garage, essentially.
It's just open, right? So you just, instead of opening the garage door, you'd open this door?
Yes.
Okay. So with those trash cans being like 30 inches wide, you would need a door at a minimum to get those in. I mean, those are the town issued trash cans, I'm assuming, right? Yes, I had one measured while we were here.
I was
So
trying to get a 2-foot 8-inch door if possible.
okay, well, that's not going to leave you a lot of room for framing. So
It won't leave a lot of room, but we're trying to be agreeable with the concerns of the neighborhood and the board and find a way to make it agreeable.
okay, so that this proposed solution still doesn't remove the variance.
No, it doesn't remove the variance completely, because you can see where that, you can see where the.
Yeah, comes all the way into the garage. Yeah, I got you.
That's the required setback, actually.
Yeah,
So we're just a little over in that one corner, but, we just didn't want to have to change the whole look of the house to pull that in a few inches.
it's still a request, and it still has to be code compliant. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Craig Chaplick, C-H-A-P-L-I-C-K. Live at 21 Canterbury Way. I have one question. I don't know if these plans would have this or it's been contemplated yet. But in terms of electrical service, is there plans to upgrade the service, not just the electrical, but the amperage coming into the home?
Yes, I'm sure we would be upgrading the service. I think you said you want to go underground with it, right? He's thinking that where the overhead wire comes into, let me just see if I can show it right on this plan here. The overhead wire comes into this corner of the house now. We would probably put an underground conduit up to someplace in this corner and have the main panel there and an upgraded service.
To what amperage is that anticipated?
I'm sorry?
Is there an anticipation to increase the amperage into the house? So for example, my house is 200 amp
Yeah,
service.
usually 200 is fine for any big residence.
And that you're planning to keep it at about 200 amps?
I think we'll calculate it, but we can't imagine anything that would be beyond that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Paul Woodford, WLOD, FORD, 36 Knollwood Drive. A couple of questions. In your original plans, you had indicated that there were going to be 3 zones for the second floor, one for the master, one for the rest of the second floor, and then for the third floor. Are you going to retain that for the third floor?
Right, we thought we would have a separate thermostat so they could put that down low, let's say in the winter, and not use the habitable attic. So now that zone won't be necessary.
But, so my next question is, if you have the zone, a zone up there and you have the stairs going up there, what's to prevent the applicant, after he leaves this board, from developing the third floor attic?
I mean, you could ask that of anybody it basically, it would be, they'd have to get a permit to do that kind of
But
work.
would they need any zoning variance for it?
No, nobody would need a variance for that. It'll be stipulated in the resolution that it's being approved as an unfinished attic.
Right, but there's nothing to prevent him a year down the road from making it an improved attic.
But didn't you just say that there's now going to change and there's no
No
utility
dormers in the front.
in the attic,
Right.
right? Right?
So,
Dormers will be gone in the front.
No,
is that
and
gonna be
no
any window
heat.
at the end?
There would, we still have a window on the end of the gable, the triangular of the end. And we still have a shed dormer in the back with some windows which gives us the headroom for the stair.
But it's not conditioned space.
No, it's not going to be
Right.
conditioned space.
But it could, you don't need another variance to come in there and make it habitable and put and put a bedroom up there,
I think the
or a dormitory or whatever.
answer to your question is construction permits.
Right, you need construction permits, but what would prevent zoning, he wouldn't need to come before this board or ask anything, he'd just have to go get a permit and there'd be no,
Correct.
and he wouldn't have to have it reviewed by the zoning board. Is that correct?
Correct.
So how are we gonna control the expansion?
Well, we could just have that as a condition that the attic cannot be used as habitable space, and part of the deed notice that we've already established would be coming, would be in the deed notice.
Okay, are we gonna do the same thing for the kitchen in the basement? Because you had mentioned that maybe somebody later on wants to put develop a kitchen down there. We're gonna put the same deed restriction in for the kitchen in the basement?
I think it just has to be done within reason. It seems that there are times, for example, I believe in Morris Township, if you have a mother-daughter apartment, the owner has to sign an affidavit that's only for, is that right, Joseph?
For family occupation, yes, essentially deed
I
restriction.
believe, I don't know if that's attached to the deed. Do they require that that's recorded?
I believe so.
Okay, so you would record it that it
I think an
can,
affidavit could be recorded, or some kind of an amendment to the deed, for example.
well, for example, are you willing to do that?
I think at some point, we have to look at what is reasonable, what isn't.
Well, I'm just asking, because you say the applicant is giving up the kitchen, but is that a permanent give up, or is that just like we're pushing the ball down the road?
There's no intention to be deceptive or.
Well, I'm not asking, I just want to make sure it's not going to happen.
I think he'll probably be able to do everything he has to do in his main kitchen, and it is allowed to have like an auxiliary refrigerator, for example, for
Oh, yes.
proofing dough or something like that.
Right,
A sink, or,
a sink, yeah, a
no
sink,
range, for example.
Right.
You can stipulate there won't be a range, a cooking range, which is usually the key piece of a kitchen.
right. So, but you're still, you're going to put that as a deed restriction.
If the board requires it, it seems a little extreme to me, but I suppose the board could require it. Put it in.
All right. So I got a question. What's the height of the wall facing the downhill property, the outside wall? Because that's the next door neighbor is the person going to be definitely impacted by that roof line coming closer to her house.
From the grade there, which is right, that's the low side of the house, it's about 4.78, so that they would see the full height up to the ridge of 34.8 feet.
Well, the ridge is 34.8, and that's a weighted measurement. So 34.8 plus, but the actual wall is higher than 34.8 at that end, correct?
No, the average grade is 0.78, I think, below the first floor. And that is where the grade is on that side.
Okay, and then how high is it to the roof? 34,
So from that point, it's 34.8 feet.
so what's the total?
That is the total. That's the total to the ridge.
The total to the ridge is 34.8 plus the 4,
No, that includes the 4.78. We have to measure that 34.8 from the average grade, which is,
right, the average grade, but we're talking about what does she look at? When she looks over there, she's not looking at 34.8, she's looking at something much higher.
well, let me go to that elevation. it's a little higher. I can see right now that this is, I'll have to correct this, that this grade line is not correctly drawn. It's down here. You see the window there, so the grade is actually lower here, and so I'll have to correct that. But essentially, they would see the grade here, and then you would see this side wall. And I believe, I still show the original roof. If you want to see that, let me just zoom in here, because I'm pretty sure you can see the original roof of that side. It's right here. You see that dotted line right there.
Right.
So it's pretty close to what's there now, I think. It's a little taller because we're raising the
About
pitch.
how many feet taller? And what's the final result?
Yeah. So,
I think what we're looking at, right, is the point that's being used 20 feet from the foundation in this corner is 394. So relative to that 394, at that corner of the calculation, not from average, but from the grade 20 feet off, what is then to the ridge height?
right, so I understand what he's saying. I believe my front elevation is actually more accurate in the sense that the grade is lower on this corner.
Right, which is then 397 straight to the front and 394 20 feet off into the neighbor's property.
Right, so what I was just going to say was that this is a 4.5 foot high window right here. So the height from the old ridge to the new ridge is roughly the same height. It's about.
Total number.
What's the, you can't, what's the total number?
It's 30, it's,
It's got to be greater than 34.
I think it's going to be, if anything, it's going to be under 34.8. I'm sorry.
You can't just.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't just speak out from the audience, right? We're trying to record this so we can have a transcript if necessary.
Joseph, did you just say that you saw 397 on this right corner of the house?
In the calculations that the assistant township engineer provided, that then matched all the average points around the building, at that front, let me just get the direction. Plan right, front northwesterly corner of the building.
Okay.
We provided a point 397 in the front yard and 394 just over to the neighbor's property line. Because the setback there is 17.1. The building foundation at that corner is 398.5 per survey. So if you'd like, so from 398.5 to 399.1, right?
Yes, the 399.1 is what the,
Say like 7 or 8 inches.
34.8
It could be 7 or 8
comes from.
inches below the average grade is what he's saying. Right, Joseph?
I want to know the total number.
399.1. Your finished floor is at 399.1. 398.5 is the exterior grade at the corner, is 0.6, right? Plus the 30-foot fixed architectural elevation. At that corner, measured directly up, it's 30.6. But moving out to the neighbor's property line, where you'd measure from, it's at 394.
Right, so you'd be counting part of the grassy hill coming down to that level, if you're, that's what you're saying. If you weren't
Which is
trying to
right.
measure from that absolute lowest point 20 feet away, that's a different story.
But what's from the peak of the roof, down to the ground at the base of this house, what is the distance?
Right, what Joseph was just saying was that the grade on this side of the house is 398, right, Joseph? Roughly 398, right, along
398,
that side.
398 to 398 and a half of the existing grade.
So that's actually about a foot below this average grade line right here, which is 399.1. Right, Joseph? That's 399.1, so we're down another foot. So let's say she would be seeing about 35.8 feet from the ground to the ridge.
Well, go to the side elevation. Okay. So you're saying,
This ground line is drawn too high here. I don't know, it should have been lower.
Right, but I think that's part of the discussion. If that box is an exposed window on the existing foundation line,
you're right.
then your existing topography is not burying it. Is your existing topography burying it, and you're now going to expose it by cutting that area?
Well, we've got this door here, so I assume you're not going to go up like that. So my question is, from the base of this exposed wall to that ridge line, what's the distance?
Right, you're not going to see this lower section of the wall. You see, here's the average grade line right here. That's 399.
Right. Well,
The grade is 1 foot below that, right here.
right, but then you've got a door all the way down here.
I know,
So-
but that's in a lower patio behind a retaining wall. That's not exposed. She wouldn't see the lower half of that door.
But you're saying that, so this is all going to be filled here and then it's going to go down?
No, this line is going to still be below this window here, where it is now. It's
What I'm saying, is this portion going to be ground still, or is it going to be
That's about
exposed?
where the ground line would be, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, you've got the roof line coming all the way out to the edge of the building. What purpose of the zoning of the C2 variance is that fulfill?
You're saying why does this gable come all the way to this corner?
Right, what zoning purpose does that serve?
Well, I was using two purposes. One is I felt that the pre-existing non-conforming corner right here is 17.1, and a lot of the times, if you try to push a corner back to make it compliant, it actually makes the house look strange, you know?
Well, I'm not saying push the corner back. I'm talking about the third floor, the extension all the way out, of the third floor all the way out to that side. Why isn't it just sloped, and what purpose does zoning purpose does it serve going all the way out to the edge of the house?
You know, it was a gable roof. We were raising it up, and I didn't even think of changing it to like a hip roof, if that's what you're going at.
Yes,
So that would really require changing the whole roof system, which we could look at if the board thinks we should. But essentially, you know, because of the pre-existing corner, usually in most situations, including Morris Township, you know, they used to allow us to go straight up, and I'm just used to trying to make the house look normal and complete and not change everything. Because you could say the same thing about, really, this corner exists all the way up here. I just want to make that clear. There's a
Right.
second floor room right here. We're going up about a foot higher with the gutter line. And then the roof is where it is. It's a gable that is where it is. We're just increasing the pitch. So it's really a minor change to the corner that's there now.
So what's
so you're
what's
raising
the
it
height
up,
change?
you're raising it up about 2 feet, 2.5 feet?
The ridge is going up higher because it's a low slope roof right now. It's
Right, but I'm just saying is, what was it, well, let's rephrase it. What's the height of the building now, as it presently exists?
we do have that information up on the cover sheet.
Right. So,
It says 31.8.
31.8
Is that-
34.8.
Is that calculated from the
So it's a
same,
3-foot difference from
is that calculated from the same average grade?
same
Because-
average grade.
Okay.
so what's the justification zoning wise to go up that 3 feet?
Basically, we could keep the roof lower slope, I suppose. It just wouldn't look as nice. Normally today we try to go with like an 8-pitch roof minimum to make it look nice. And so that there's definitely an aesthetic reason to fulfill that one purpose I think it is. And but essentially, it's just the fact that there's also a hardship where we have that pre-existing non-conforming corner for a 2-story house that is there now, and it's going to remain. Well, all we're trying to do is bring the gutter up a foot and then bring the ridge up another few feet. So it's,
The C1 proof supports the existing nonconformity in its current configuration. The elevation above it that creates more massing is respectfully a C2 proof.
right, but I think it's.
Because you're worse, because it's your choice
It's your
to
choice
bump it
to
out.
do it.
Choice, yeah.
Right, and so I think the question being, not to speak for you, but the question being asked is comparatively to the other side, where you're not going to the full ridge height you're proposing, and you're asking for relief to go build above the existing non-conforming side yard setback. Another way to rephrase this would be, why wasn't that also considered on the west side of the home?
You mean to be like a hip roof or something?
On the east side of the home, the architectural height, the perceived height is a few feet shorter than on the west side of the home, the garage side compared to the chimney side. And the chimney side of the home, and that difference is roughly what appears to be from your plans to the existing ridge height of the existing home. Does that make sense, or did I just further confuse everybody? The peak on the master bedroom,
Right here?
yes, is, I believe, roughly in line with what was your existing architectural height of the attic space prior to the vertical addition on the opposite side.
You're right, you're correct. It's about correct, yes. It's about aligned up with that old ridge.
And I think the nature of your question was to the difference in those two heights when side yard setback relief is requested on both sides to go up above the existing height at that setback. So the consideration that's provided on one side, what were your considerations on the other, and why perhaps architecturally you chose these decisions?
I think I would just say that I did consider moving this corner in and notching it, and I didn't like it. I thought it looked like it was forced, like someone had an afterthought. And so I actually talked to Dave Hansen about it and said, I'd really like to just make this wall align with the existing garage wall and just come out enough to do the pedestrian door and a little bit of extra storage in that front section of the garage. And it didn't seem like a big ask at the time. So
Did you evaluate running the entire width of the house easterly at the full proposed ridge height? And what was your consideration to come to the eastern portion that you have? That's the opposite question of what I rephrased.
Yeah, I understand.
Remember the public.
Yes.
I didn't really exhaustively try to study ways to make that corner comply. Is that what you're saying? Comply with the side yard?
You're requesting side yard setback relief to go vertically above the existing condition. right? Aside from the front bump out that we discussed earlier.
Okay, over on
Let's
this
just-
side, yes.
On both sides, east and west sides.
Chimney side.
You're going vertically above an existing non-conforming side yard setback. That massing is what you're requesting variance relief for. On the east side, you're effectively a 2.5-story structure on that side. On the high side of the lot at the garage, right? That's at 402 in the driveway.
Right.
And 402 in the driveway and a perceived height up of about 2.5 stories. On the west side, you're on the low side of the lot, which is then proposing to go to the full 3-story architectural height above the low finished grade exterior to the home. And I think the balance of the question is, would it be more appropriate for those to be reversed? And
Well,
is it the existing dwelling constraints that would make that prohibitive? Right, you're not going to change your driveway to the other side. And if you were to scale down the 3rd story of non-habitable attic now on the west side, would architecturally there not be a solution to the aesthetics of the home from the front and from the westerly side?
Yeah, I suppose we could look at it. I think really, honestly, I didn't consider putting like the master suite and everything over on this right side because of the availability of some expandable area over the garage and the.
Yeah, and I'm not recommending that. I think the question is relative to the difference in height at both proposed non-conforming setbacks. If you're standing on the easterly side or the westerly side, and the perceived height is greater because of the drop in the grade, and the concession is provided on, the height concession is provided on the easterly side, which is the higher grade. So, in other words, without the habitable attic and without the dormers on the non-habitable attic, is there a reason that ridge line would still be the additional height proposed architecturally on the home?
Well,
The character of the home, the architecture of the home, keeping with the style of this type of home, is that additional height necessary from the peak on the east side, not carrying through to the west side?
I think it would look odd. I think that the house has a symmetry to it with the 2 pairs of windows on each side of the front foyer and entry, and that it would just look like it was something that was forced that would not look appropriate. What I'm thinking as you talk about it, though, and as the question comes up, is that we could offer to put some evergreens along this side of the property, which would effectively screen the lower section of the house and provide a buffer, for visual buffer, going around, maybe kind of turning the corner a little bit here and coming back up along this side. And that might soften the effect of that corner and help make it more agreeable.
Stay up there, I'm done. Yeah. I don't have any more questions this time. Thank you.
My name is Frank Zupa. Address is 23 Canterbury Way. In view of these discussions that are just taking place, I presume there's going to be new drawings. And a lot of the questions that are being asked about dimensions, et cetera, should be marked appropriately. So we could talk about it. I do have, when you do, when you do these new drawings, I've been changing my own notes about what the square footage of the new house is going to be and what is the square footage of the existing house. I think up until the last change, we were up to 6,300 square feet on the new house, if it gets approved. Now, without the habitable attic, you lose about 600 square feet. That brings it down to about 5,700. But I would expect that when you present it at the next meeting, you will have all those numbers
Yes.
correct. And existing, I think it would also be good to have the existing square footage of the existing house for the audience to understand and the board to understand what's proposed. Because in a month ago meeting, you made a statement that said the typical houses in Wheat Chief are about 5,000 square feet. That's not true.
Is there a question for
Well, my question is this. When you come a month from now at the next meeting, we have all those numbers so that we get the proper answers. That's my statement. And then the only other question I have, in view of the habitable attic space gone, do you really need 3 air conditioning zones?
No, we are going to have, well, we can take one of those zones out, and we'll just have 2 for the second floor now.
Okay. 2 for the second floor. What about the first floor?
There'll be a separate unit in the basement just for the first floor.
So on the second floor, you have two zones?
Yes, we wanted to do that because the master suite wanted to have its own thermostat. Be
Okay.
able to do that and not have to treat.
And another zone for the basement? Of the first floor, I mean. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
See you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Jo Woodford, 36 Norwood Drive. Some of the questions are changed because I think the plans are changed, but one thing I'm a bit concerned about is the houses in Knollwood, in the backyards, there's an underground stream going through, and this construction that has been done in other areas of Wheat Chief have aggravated flooding, and we've had that area flooded several times. So I don't know whether in your plans, have you taken into account the underground stream going up from the backyards in Knollwood?
I really haven't. I'll have to ask Joseph about it, but I think our dry well will be subject to inspection of the soils to make sure that we're not below like a seasonal high water table, and that it has the capacity to store that water and let it perk out slowly. And so we won't be adding a lot of surface runoff to that backyard area.
Well, I'm concerned that the construction, moving the foundations and the building and all that, there was the construction of the Wheat Chief townhouses up in the neighborhood up above us. They had a problem with their grates, and it caused a huge flood. They came down, washed out the backyards in Knollwood. A river went through.
Questions for the
Went through our backyard into the pool of our next door neighbor. So your dry well, I'm asking, is that, I just want to make sure the disturbance isn't going to cause another flood in a very sensitive area.
You're saying during construction that?
I mean, during construction, after construction, with the pavers, with the walls, with the retaining walls, all of that additional disturbance, how is that going to affect this underground stream, which is has flooded several times?
We'll have to look into it. We'll check with the engineer and the building department about what they can educate us on that. I don't expect, this is a fairly minor expansion of the sunroom. It's not a huge, change to the rear yard.
It seems to be a lot of pavers and walls and exterior outdoor oven, the kitchen.
Well, it's a small patio in the back that's accessible from the basement.
What is the size of the patio in the back? And that goes from the house to the border of the property?
It's 366 square feet.
So that's not small.
Well, that includes all the steps. There's a low area, and then you step up to a middle, kind of like a big landing, and then you have to turn. So it's not huge, but I don't know.
So the total square footage of that patio area is
I'm showing 366.
366.
On here.
I had a question on the kitchen in the basement, and maybe I don't know that it's been answered. It sounds like you're taking away, but part of my question is, there's a township ordinance that section 354-4, it says cooking facilities, no cooking or food prep shall be conducted in any room except the kitchen. So I guess my question is, why would this kitchen ever be permitted if it doesn't seem to apply, be consistent with this ordinance? And I just want to make sure that if you've removed it, maybe that's not a problem anymore, but I'm still concerned why it was ever on the drafting board.
Yeah, I can just say that over the years, I've done quite a few projects where mother-daughter type kitchens were allowed in Marsh Township. And as long as you certify and reassure the township that you're not creating a rental apartment, for example. But it is, I have never run across that ordinance that says that there can only be one room where you prepare food in the house. I'll have to look that up. I really wasn't.
Well, I guess it's a question for the people at large here too. But you're taking away that, and there'd be in the deed that you're not going to have a kitchen, but actually the ordinance doesn't seem to permit it anyway.
Well, I'll definitely look it up, and I'll just have to. It's just going to be basically a wet bar. We might have some.
So the prep and the staging and the burners and the double oven from your earlier draft, that's gone.
Those are gone.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other members of the public with any questions for the witness? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion.
Okay, so before we wrap up for tonight, I just wanted to go over some outstanding items for next time, right? So you're going to provide us with, and I suggest you do it at least 10 days in advance, maybe in a handout, but the square footage of the existing home under roof, it's up to you. You can say first floor, second floor, basement, but basically the square footage on the roof and the proposed home, okay? You're going to, you'll have to, I guess, discuss it with Joe or and if he thinks you need a site engineer, then you'll have to do that, but verify that there's no off-site drainage impact. You're going to submit the revised plans with those changes that were discussed when we came out of break. We've since also talked about a landscape buffer along that right side of the home. I would suggest maybe a landscape plan then, so we can see what that is. And I don't know how important this is, honestly, but there's an open item about, the type of step or access, or let's call it access into the attic, right? So what's your attic access? But really the condition is going to be that it's not used habitably, so, okay. I think that's it.
Were there a couple?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Sure.
You need to redo all of your square footage.
I'm going to review all of this.
Well, I can tell you that your warm floor building area, pretty confident that right now that includes the square footage of the garage. And the garage needs to either be, if it's in there, then say it's in there, but it shouldn't be. But if it's not in there, if it's not in those numbers, then why is it in your lot coverage?
Right, it is in the lot coverage, I'm sure, because that's part of the building coverage. But it's not impossible. I'll double check and make sure that.
It's not a warm floor or a garage, it's concrete floor. Okay?
Yeah, I'm looking at, as I think, and I think a lot of the neighborhood wants to see the comparison of the overall volume of the new house versus the old house. That's why I'm saying square footage on the roof,
I agree.
not usable.
If you looked at the square footage that a realtor who markets the house will say,
Totally
it will
different.
not include
Right.
that garage square footage.
That's right.
I'll show it both ways, okay?
Yeah. The tax records currently show 2844 as the square footage of the home.
Right. One last
I
time.
just have one short question.
But again, just announce yourself for the record,
Oh.
please.
Frank Zupa at 23 Canterbury Way.
Thank you.
When you close the portion of the public hearing, that's for tonight.
Yes,
And since we're going to have new drawings,
yes.
you'll be open
So
again.
what'll happen is they're going to submit new plans. We don't have the new date yet, but we'll get there in a minute. They'll have to submit new plans. Those plans have to be submitted at least 10 days prior to that date. Okay, we're going to announce whatever that date is once our secretary tells us what's available. And then we're going to kind of do this again. They'll give us a hopefully brief description of what those plan changes are. There can be some questions, and hopefully we'll get to comments so that the public can then make their statements. Those
Thank
statements
you.
will be under oath.
Thank you for the answer. I just look for clarification.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Tim Dixon, really one quick further thing. So there's been a lot of stipulations made about changes to the plans that are going to be coming, things that are going to be taken away. I think what'll help the public understand and get some reassurance that these changes are going to incorporate the goal I think that we're all trying to achieve is if the applicant can also provide a plumbing stack diagram and also an electrical load diagram so we can see what services they're actually planning on putting in the house. Because again, I think there's some major concerns here that there's been some verbal agreements of some concessions of removing things from the property, but at a later date, it doesn't become a zoning issue anymore. It becomes just a construction permit issue. And I think there needs to be some stuff put in this application to so that there can't be a change to the construction permits later on that add a bunch of additional services in that won't need to come to this room into this type of environment.
So this board doesn't really have jurisdiction over things like that, right? And if they want to submit that as further proof as to what they're presenting, they can volunteer it, but we can't require it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Aller, there was a couple of punch list items from the previous meeting as well.
So I think I covered
Yeah.
okay, so the last time we talked about photos from homes in the neighborhood, again, the buffer, but I mentioned that, and the square footage of homes. And what I suggest you do is just do an Oprah request to the municipal clerk and ask for the assessor cards for each of the homes on the 200-foot list. And then you can just make a chart off of that, and we can see what the square footages are in comparison. Okay?
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's
Just the
it?
date.
Just the date, Mr. Secretary?
We have 33 on May 18th, so I think that one's closed. We have two
Yeah.
on the May 18th. That next date then would be June 22nd.
Okay. June 22nd. Okay, good?
June 22nd?
Okay. All right, so for purposes of the public, this meeting's being adjourned. It will continue in this room at 7 PM on June 22nd. There'll be no further notices from the applicant.
Need Paul back up here for other matters, or?
Yeah, he can close the meeting. I don't know if there's anything else on the agenda.
The draft.
Oh, yeah,
Draft.
you need him for the annual report.
I think I'll be here.
Overstepping.
Rider University. I made this, come on. I'm going to do it. Or approve it.
No? Oh, my
How would Capital come down? No, you, these last few that came up after we closed public portion.
Yeah.
Probably would.
Yeah, we're done with public hearing. You can submit what you want. The last guy is an architect.
That's okay. But it was, that was close.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, so what do we got? We got left is
2025 annual report.
2020, we've made some revisions to it. Has everybody seen that? Is it, you posted it? to
I
everybody?
put it in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did make a couple of changes to it.
Yeah.
And so just the first paragraph, I think we modified a little bit, just because it says both, talks about 3 applications being left over from 2024. And then it says both will receive variances, so that's a little confusing. When we go from 3 to 2 without an explanation. So we're just going to modify that. And does anybody have any comments on the rest of it?
Just in case we have any recommendations to the planning board, I can't think of
Yeah.
anything.
Do you have any recommendations?
I mean, I'd love to see an ordinance. I think I mentioned this to the planning board, though. You know, these, on Madison Avenue, they stopped construction, they left these mountains and
Right.
left plastic on the roof. There should be something that says after a certain period of time, they can't just abandon construction and leave the site a mess. Like
Right.
they've done it, why?
I said, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, is that something we can recommend to the planning board?
Is there anything we can,
To make an ordinance, or is that out of line?
that's really not zoning.
So it's not technically zoning, but there is a
No.
state statute that deals with abandoned projects. I don't know if it
Oh.
covers, that particular situation. You're talking about where somebody has a blue tarp on their roof and they're not fixing it fast enough? Yeah.
Yeah, the restoration
Yeah.
hardware.
Not necessarily an abandoned project. That
Commercial,
was,
commercial project.
yeah, that was
Commercial,
more
though.
for, projects where you see the steel go up and then 20 years later, in fact, that exact situation happened on Route 80 in
I was gonna say.
Parsippany.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes, it did.
That was, in fact, that's the building that caused that statute to come in play, because that skeleton stood there for 20 years,
Right.
right? So now there's a statute that says.
But could there be an
down.
ordinance that says you have to at least lower things below the height of the fence and, so that it's not an eyesore? Like those
Well,
mounds
what
are
if you're fixing
dirt,
your roof?
Hmm?
What if you're fixing your roof, though, right?
but they've abandoned the project.
Oh, so you're talking about an abandoned project
Yeah.
versus
There's
somebody
been
who's
no
not doing
activity,
it?
there's been no activity for 3 years.
So, when somebody gets a permit, right, there's no end date. So if I get a permit to put on a second floor to my building, like, it could take me 20 years. And as long as, once in a while I go out there and I bang a nail in, it's still in progress, right? So, and that, I don't know that the.
So maybe there's nothing we
It's
can
not a
do.
municipal issue, it's more of a state issue because there's state permit, right? It's building permit and that comes under DCA. So I'd have to think about that a little bit to see if there's a municipal ordinance that you could say building permits expire. If you abandon it, yes, but when that guy's going out there once a week.
Yeah, I don't know
haven't
what
seen
it's-
anybody going out with a hammer lately out there.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah.
any activity there.
I pass that every day.
Every
multiple
day.
times.
Which one?
Restoration Hardware,
Yeah.
Canfield and Madison.
Well, that was under some discussion recently.
Yeah.
Right?
was.
Yeah.
Discussion as to what their intents are if they're moving forward.
Yeah.
If they're not, then if an amended redevelopment plan is necessary.
Yeah.
We've revised it once already.
We have revised it, whether or not we need to revise it further for protections of the structure. Or any other
Oh, geez.
property or whatever it
Well,
be.
I think that's the concern, right? That,
Yeah,
And plus the eyesore.
It's
What's
sad,
the ice
right? I mean, there has been activity recently of cleaning up some of the sufficient stockpiles and cleaning up the site, but not necessarily anything, improvements to the structure or any other renovations, nothing else proceeding. So, given the dormancy, it was a natural time to start the dialogue over whether or not that approval is going to wind up expiring naturally, and then how to prepare for eventuality if it was to be.
Yeah, so maybe if it's going to expire, that would be something that they'd have to take care of before the expiration.
So there's. Say that again.
If it's going, if their permit, if it's going to expire, the approval is going to expire, then maybe they should be able to take care of all the eyesores and the building threats and stuff, either before the expiration or immediately after the expiration.
Right, so like the land use approval, their intent will be clear based on whether they move forward with activities on the site or they allow their approval to lapse.
And if it elapses, what happens?
Then they don't have the right to construct the improvements that they.
So they lose their construction permit.
But then they have to like,
Use their,
do they have to like fix up the land so it looks,
so there's a performance bond in place, certain obligations.
okay.
I think
Okay.
whether or not it's ever going to come
Okay.
to fruition, it's a valid question right now. That's why a dialogue just started.
Okay.
That's been what, 6 years?
No, I thought more.
If not.
I mean,
this
something should be
plan,
done.
Then what?
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any indication from the applicant that they're not going to.
Because that
The
plastic
dormancy
tarp
of their
is falling
activity
apart.
is the issue. Right.
So
At some
water's
point,
getting
the
in.
Structure becomes more questionable as to whether or not they can renovate it to the intent of their,
Yeah,
They're doing their own damage.
yeah,
yes, which could be construed as,
abandonment.
which could be construed as their intent.
Exactly.
And so the dialogue did start very recently, and it has not gotten much off the ground as to starting to think about the property again, as opposed to the reality of.
Someone
of it
told me
coming
they
to
paid a
fruition.
huge amount for that property, far more than it was worth. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that might explain some of
It
it.
predates me, so I was
Yeah.
looking forward to it activating and turning into seeing it through construction
Oh, of
as your
course.
township engineer, but the approvals predate me so much of those, the agreements, the redevelopment plan, the amended redevelopment plan are things that I've been doing my homework on the last 2 weeks now.
So the original question is,
Changes to the annual report.
change it, do we want to make any kind of recommendations? to the
I would
annual?
adopt this one. That's a homework assignment for sure.
We can bring that up and say supplementing our
Yeah.
annual report. We were
Well,
discussing
wait.
this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it was approved under a redevelopment plan, right?
Right.
Under the redevelopment plan, so it went to the other board.
It's not this before this.
It's not
It's not this
The
board,
question
these are
was, is it something
recommendations.
we can recommend to the planning board or the town council?
It's
and
more
say,
general.
Okay.
It's more general.
Generalized, as opposed
General
to
idea.
off
Yeah.
the, okay, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that the
Right.
piece I missed from the
No, that-
redevelopment.
No,
plan
no,
wasn't
no.
just
here
was
for a
Because I'm on
reason.
both boards, I
That's
think
what-
about
yeah.
these things.
Yeah,
That was the moving force. Just an aside, in Egypt, they actually tax finished buildings at a lower rate, a higher rate than unfinished buildings.
Oof.
So people have no incentive to finish their building. So you go through Cairo and there's like steel jutting up everywhere. So that they can, they're saying, no, we're gonna put a floor on, but they never do. So it's like everywhere. And if they get another family member, they'll build a floor and then put more. Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.